Hey, welcome everybody. In this episode, we're going to talk a little bit more about views as well as layouts. So these are two types of components that you need to know about in Android development. So if you look down here on the left, you can see this component tree. And you can see there's two things in this default application. We have this constraint layout, and then we have this text view. So these are named nicely because you can see which one's a layout and which one is a view. The layouts act as a box to put views inside. And the views are just different components that we can use inside of our application, such as a text thing, or we can go in here, we could add a button. There's all kinds of different things that we can put in this application, and you can see that they're all nested inside of this layout. So again, just to repeat myself, the layout acts as a box to contain these views. So numerous views go inside of the layout. And you can visually see that because the text and the button are indented just a little bit after the constraint layout. So if you want to see another example of this, let's get rid of that button just so we go back to how we had it. And in the palette, you can click these different tabs on the left. Let's go to layouts and add the top one, constraint layout. Drop that on the screen. And now we'll go into buttons and we will just add a button. And you can see that this constraint layout is inside of this other layout and this button is inside of this constraint layout. So you can collapse it using the little triangle there, the little arrow, and you can see that the button is inside. So what that means is when we take this constraint and we drag it around, you can see that the button is moved with it. It's tied to it. So consider it the button is inside the box, and now we're moving the box, and all of the stuff inside moves with it. Now, as we go on in this series, we're going to learn more about the different components, for example, what these different layouts are, and what the different buttons and text types. We're going to learn what all that stuff is, so don't worry about that all right now. The main thing you need to understand is how the different components work, and the difference between a view and a layout. Now, one other thing I wanted to touch on is that you can see we have these two different views. We have the design and the blueprint. I never really talked about what the difference is, so I just wanted to give just an example that will show the difference. You can consider the blueprint as more of the structure, and you can consider the design as, well, the design, what it's going to show up as. So here's a little example. If we go and we put a button on the screen, and by the way, you can just delete it by hitting the delete key. And let's say we go on here and we say visibility and we set this to invisible. Well, check this out. You can see it on the blueprint, but you can't see it on the design. So the blueprint shows it and the design does not. So that's why I like having both, because then you can see everything that's going on. But it's nice because you know it's there on the blueprint, but visually you can see that it's not going to appear. So that is the benefit of using these two at the same time, so you can see both perspectives. So that is the basics of views and layouts, and a little bit more on working with these activities. So hopefully this has been helpful for you guys. Stay tuned because we got a lot more coming and I am just stoked. So please be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode.